There was a school in a small town that many people said was strange. It was an old building with peeling paint and creaky floors. Children would whisper about strange sounds coming from empty classrooms after school. For many years, the school had been a place of learning and laughter. But something had changed inside its walls. Alex was a quiet boy who loved reading old books. Every day he walked past the school, and sometimes he wished he could find a secret hidden in its dark corridors. One rainy afternoon, when the sky was full of heavy clouds, Alex decided to learn more about the school. He had heard stories about a long-ago student who was lost, and people believed his spirit still walked the hallways. It was said that his heart had been broken, and his lonely spirit did not know how to find peace. Alex began by asking the older teachers about the past. Mrs. Green, a kind teacher with soft eyes, told him about a student named Daniel who had attended the school many years ago. Daniel was a bright student who loved to paint and write poetry. But one day, he had disappeared without any explanation. Some people said that he had felt so alone that he chose to vanish from the world, while others believed that something in the school had taken him away. Over time, the memory of Daniel faded, and the school continued its daily life. Yet, strange events would happen now and then. Sometimes a door would open by itself, and sometimes faint whispers could be heard when no one was there. Alex's curiosity grew with every story he heard. He began to notice little odd things around the school. One evening, as the last bell rang, he saw a shadow move quickly along the hallway. At first, he thought it was just a trick of the light. But the next day, he found a small scrap of paper on a desk in the empty classroom. On the paper were a few words written in shaky handwriting: "I am here. I am forgotten." This simple message made Alex's heart beat faster, but also filled him with sympathy for the lost soul. Alex spent many evenings after school in the library, reading every article and book he could find about the old days of the school. In a dusty corner, he discovered an old diary that belonged to a student from many years ago. The diary told the story of a boy who felt alone and never understood by his classmates. The pages were full of dreams of friendship and a desire to be remembered. Alex felt that this boy was Daniel. The words in the diary were simple, yet they carried a deep sadness that touched his heart. One stormy night, when the wind howled outside and the rain tapped on the windows, Alex stayed late in the school after everyone had gone home. He walked slowly in the quiet hallways, holding a small flashlight. The sound of his footsteps echoed on the stone floor. Suddenly, he heard a soft humming sound coming from one of the classrooms. The humming was low and almost like a lullaby. It reminded him of the lines he had read in the diary. With each step, Alex's heart pounded louder until he reached the door of the classroom. He pushed the door open gently and stepped inside. The room was empty except for a large blackboard and rows of old desks. In the corner, by the window, he saw something that made him freeze. There, sitting in the shadow, was a small figure. It was hard to see, but the figure looked like a boy with sad eyes. The boy's face was pale, and his clothes were old-fashioned, as if he belonged to another time. Alex was frightened, but he also felt an overwhelming sadness. The ghost did not seem angry. Instead, it looked as if it was waiting for someone to remember him. Alex stood very still. The ghost lifted its head slowly and looked at him. Then, in a soft, quiet voice, the ghost spoke. "I have been waiting for a friend," it said. The voice was barely audible, like a whisper carried on the wind. Alex's fear mixed with compassion. He took a deep breath and said, "I am here to listen." The ghost's eyes shone with a gentle light as it began to share its story. The school continued to be a part of the town's life, and even though Daniel's ghost sometimes appeared, he was no longer a figure of terror. He had become a symbol of the need for kindness, a reminder that every soul deserves to be remembered. Alex, along with many others, learned that true courage was not in running away from fear, but in facing it and giving voice to the quiet ones who had been forgotten.